All
right, ask him.
Benny, what episode is this?
21.
Episode 21 of the Real Talk Podcast.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Episode 21.
21.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode, the 20th episode.
If you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, and comment down below.
Yep, we're getting better.
We are getting better, right?
Joe, we learned that we have to do that.
Big news, we got a new van.
Oh, big van.
Big dog van.
Big dog van.
Benny, show us some photos in there.
Yep.
First shoot today with it. What'd you guys think?
Easy.
Easy lemon squeezy?
Big rig.
Big rig.
Yep, but it's good. It's honestly, it's already a little rigged out inside.
Yeah.
We got a whole compartment. We really don't need much else in there.
Yeah, worst case scenario, we start an HVAC company.
Yeah. we could do whatever we wanted, really. We'll be able to take care of the media part.
I'm excited for today.
Oh, I'm real excited.
Who do you got on today?
You've been hyping me up.
Right.
You tell me. You.
I'm hot.
Yeah.
We got a local legend in the house. We got Dayne Carter. Dayne is a New Jersey hip-hop recording artist. Dayne has worked with a million different artists and is a marketing legend, if you didn't know. Dayne's latest hit, 10 Toes, is officially on 2K. Everyone welcome Dayne Carter, guys.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Great, man. Great to see you.
Is that a G-Shock?
Yeah, it is.
Is that from Randy's store?
It is.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Shout out Randy once again.
Shout out Randy.
He's got
Shout out Randy. So I want to kind of just tell you about the first time I heard any of your music at all.
Yeah.
Do you remember this bar? You probably don't because you were a feature on this.
Okay.
It was on one of my boys' songs. You're the Jordan to my Pippen, CP3 to my Griffin. Something, but I'll admit it.
Pippen, CP to my Griffin. I know the. Damn.
If you come away with me, come stargaze with me.
Wow. Taylor?
Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had to be. That's like 10 years.
10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like full circle now.
Wow. Yeah. I haven't heard that record in a long time.
With Michelle Garcia.
Yes, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Local.
Man. Yeah.
Are you from around the area?
So I'm from Hillsborough originally.
Word.
Grew up in Hillsborough. I live in Jersey now, but a little further, closer to New York, in the city now. But yeah.
Nice.
Still Jersey.
You went to Fordham, right?
Yes. I went to Fordham in the Bronx. Lived in New York, bounced back and forth, and now I'm in Jersey.
How was that for you growing up in Hillsborough? Just mostly suburban town.
For sure.
Going to the city.
It was different. I was born in Queens. My family's all from Queens, but I grew up in Jersey. So 9 years old, I moved. So I grew up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But we'd always go for holidays and stuff. So
Yep.
I'm used to the city. But I'll tell you, when I went to Fordham and it's yo, let's go to the city and, let's just hang out for the day.
Yeah.
Bro, the subways, I was oh, let's just go to, let's just go to Midtown, 42nd. All I know is 42nd. Take the train. I'm yo, this looks suburban. I'm in Queens. So it's I have no clue. So it's a big adjustment. You just figure it out, but it's you get used to it. But it was definitely a shock at first because I'm just man, this is not Hillsborough. So.
And you went to Fordham for music?
No, I actually went to studied marketing and communications. Yeah.
And now you're at the Bleacher Report, or
Yeah, so I'm at Bleacher Report now. Work there, marketing. That's the 9 to 5, and then music's the 5 to 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like it never stops.
Man, it's constant. Yeah.
Do you feel at times you have to pinch yourself at times, things you feel your little kid self would be oh, this is pretty cool?
Man, so I think that's actually a great point. I think that's what keeps me especially with social media and seeing other people and their track records. It's oh, some people are 19, 20 and killing it.
Yep.
But I'm yo, when I was 10 years ago, this is surreal. You know what I mean? And the fact 100%. That I'm still doing music and working in sports and doing all the stuff that I would I feel my childhood self is almost the reference point of yo, you're on the right track. So for sure.
And how do you balance the two? I feel having a 9 to 5 in itself is overwhelming as it is.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know the grind too, but I think it's just you make the time. I think it's 9 to 5. What you do ultimately helps finance your passions and your side projects. So I think it's I'm lucky. Sports culture is still music, so it's it's not really a contrast of where I'm I'm doing something that's completely different. I'm still able to make relationships, do all that stuff, but just time management, just like anyone else.
I think it's probably a great for you to be in any industry. Working for Bleacher Report in the marketing division,
yep.
It's probably gonna help you more so out on the music side end as well.
For sure, because it's a lot of people, a lot of my friends who do music who work 9 to 5s. It's almost it's coveted. They're hit oh, don't tell them I do music, hide it. It's no, it's the fact that I do it. I think it just makes me more valuable.
100%.
It's oh, people in the music space. Whenever there's music related projects, we're gonna tap into you and connections through like, probably talk about it, but 2K. I'm like, that was a matter of like networking and, you know, putting the pieces together. So
Definitely. How did that 2K signing or your song get in there? Like, how
Yeah.
did that all come about?
No, it's crazy. So I had 2 songs in 2K20. So that was like the first thing when it happened, which was still dope in itself.
Yeah.
Working at a marketing firm, meeting like some of the right people, you know, used to kind of work on the brand. And, you know, one of my friends is like in the meeting, he's like, yo, you know, Dayne does music. I'm like, yo, shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool, send me something.
Yeah.
So my homie JT, who like helps manage me now, he was just like, yo, put together like a file of songs and what you think are the best ones. So sent him, heard nothing, didn't expect anything, but I'm like, oh, let me just be proactive, send it. Didn't hear anything for maybe like 4 or 5 months, and then they were just like, yo, what's your favorite of the bundle? I'm like, well, I like them all, but maybe these 2. And they're like, okay, perfect. A week later, they're like, they're going to be in the game. I'm like, you know none of the process, but like learning about like the sync licensing and like the contracts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you could like, you know, you could make a decent amount of money and a decent amount of like following, helping like put the 2 together. So it was like, it worked out. I figured out the process, and I think that was kind of like the stepping stone of like, oh, you don't have to be a Drake to, you know, like generate income and like figure out and navigate the music space. So that worked. And then fast forward to the present day, this one I think was cooler because it was the only song. So like last time they added it to a soundtrack with maybe like 30 other songs, which is still dope. But this was like the only song, so it was more of like an exclusive thing.
Oh shit! It was like the only song in the game.
Only song. So like they have like the soundtrack that they do,
Yeah.
and then they added mine as like an exclusive. So it was
Oh,
like
Yeah, I saw the post about it.
yeah, they have
Yep.
like if you go in the game, there's a billboard, and it's
Yep.
like, oh shit, you see like your person, and like people are posting and tagging it. So it was like it was a good look for sure.
It's sick. I mean, I used to hop on 2K on the park, and
Yeah.
that your player can put headphones on.
Sure.
We would be during quarantine. We would be jamming out.
Man.
I'm sure his songs came across a few times,
Yeah.
but we used to just be. It is. They do a good job.
For sure.
Do you feel like there's something? Because like when I'm listening to the music, there's a lot of new artists that I listen to through the game. Do you feel like that was something that they look for
in terms of like
in like looking for music to put on the game?
Yeah, I think like obviously they're gonna have like the Billboard hits, the songs that are on there, but I think like a big part of it is like growing with the artist. So like, you know, from 2020 to 23, like I've grown, and I think it's like a thing of just like that's a storyline in itself. But they always try to find like the next or like on the rise because I think it helps. And it's like, you know, if I look back, I'm like, yo, one of the biggest milestones was like being in 2K.
Yeah.
So it's like I think they try to tap into a lot of artists. I went to the Nets game yesterday, and they had like a 2K like league. And they had like some of the artists in it, so I got to meet other people and like learn about their journey. So it's just like a cool like network for sure. But
Yeah, and speaking of that, Randy tells us you're a master networker. We went in there and he told us, ask him how he networks.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, I've gotten better at it. I think initially, and I'm still this way, but I'm like I don't like to ask for favors, and I don't really like to like, you know, like people walk in a room and they're instantly like, yo, who's the CEO, who runs this, blah blah blah, and like go to that person. And I'm more so like, oh, let me just like talk to everyone in this room and try to navigate the space because like, everyone is equally as important. And like an example is like there could be someone who, you know, I know it because when I was the intern working at like a company, and if they wanted to talk to the CMO or the CEO is not in the streets at, you know, music shows. He doesn't know what the coolest artists are. He'll ask me. And like my job is to know. So like essentially, you know, you work through the intern, then you get the stepping stones. The intern's like, oh, yeah, this person's dope. Cool. Let's set up a meeting. So I think, like, long story short, like, I think I've just done a good job of, like, being genuine, but also, like, just being able to, like, reach out to people. If I see someone, you guys are just at a party, yo, I'm Dayne, make music, I work in marketing, you know, where are you guys from, blah, 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 stay connected, and then, you know, see where it goes.
Is there a certain time and place where you learn, like, the value of that?
What do you mean in terms
like,
of?
because I know some people aren't, like, they don't. Some people, like I used to, when I first got into running my business, I would go into a room and always just write myself off as like the introvert and didn't see value.
That's me.
Didn't see the value in just going and having a conversation. Like my mindset was always, like I felt like I would have to go into it with this feeling of like I'm looking to get something out of it. But then in time, it turned into the value in just having conversation in general.
I love that. I think that was the shift. It's like you know, sometimes you're trained to be like, yo, elevator pitch, 30 seconds. I'm Dayne, I rap, I'm trying to do this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, like just be a human, like at first. And like, not everything is like transactional.
Yep.
So it's just like, I'm just here because you're like a dope person. We'll stay connected, and you know, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes it doesn't, but at the end of the day, it's like, yo, we met each other, genuine person. If I have an opportunity, I'll look out. And I think like, you know, some of the most genuine relationships have been through that, where it's just like, we don't even talk about necessarily work. It's just like, yo, you like basketball, you see the game, and then, you know, oh, we'll follow each other's socials. Oh, I didn't even know you made music. Oh, I didn't know you did this. Let's figure out how to make it work. So
exactly.
Word, and you're super entrenched in like the local community. I think you performed at like the Hillsborough Fair. I think it was like a fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fire. So like, why do you think it's like so important to like support the community like around us?
Yeah, I think it's like, ultimately, man, it's like, that's, you know, grassroots, and like people support where they're from. Like if they know someone's from their local town, I think it's like, that's something they want to be supportive of. So like for me, that festival, close childhood friend ended up committing suicide. So his mom started the festival in his memory. So like every year, all the homies would go and just be like, hey, you know, we're going to support his family, go to the show. And then I was like, oh, you know, could I perform? Like the music's clean. It's like, you know, I'm not going to do nothing crazy. So I was like, yeah, sure. So we did it. I think I did it 3 years. First year, it was like, you know, smaller crowd. Then, you know, people were like, oh, yeah, this is like a cool thing. They started making it bigger, performed a bigger crowd. And then the highlight was right before the pandemic. I think that was the last one they had. But it was a partnership with the fireworks show, so the 4th of July. So it was literally like a whole town, so like maybe like 3,000 people. And because I was like, she's like, oh, well, you've done it before. Like, I want you to headline it.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, cool. I don't even know if like this is like a hip hop town, but we'll figure it out. And it was dope. It was a lot of content, met a lot of people. So yeah, so I think it's just important to stay like connected with like the community, because that's like who supports you. And you know, you feel connected to them.
100%. Do you think Hillsborough, was it hard making like rap music in Hillsborough in like a suburban town like that?
Right.
Yeah. Because one of my buddies like growing up, like Taylor, we were making hip hop music in Bridgewater. You know what I mean? And like the teachers, everyone always, you know, like turned their eye to it. So it was like
rapping in the suburbs. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a matter of like, I mean, content. Like, what are you talking about? I think that's like the first thing. Like I've had people I've grown up with making music, and I'm like, bro, like this is not what we live. So like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I think like for me, it's more so a feeling, understanding the culture, understanding it's more like, you know, if you talk to me and you hear my music, it's the same person. So I think for me, it was always difficult in terms of people. Sure, people are gonna be judgmental, but I think like I got comfortable in just like my own skin, where I'm just like, I make music. I love hip hop. Hip hop's the #1 genre in music. You know, maybe like Afrobeats or something could rival it now, but like it's popular. People listen to it. And then this is just like my version of doing it. So I think like you just get over the fact of people like, oh, the rapper from Hillsborough, but I'm like, yo, listen, press play. And then it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Do you feel like that, like it sounds like that with like the way you go about networking and potentially making music might kind of be like the same thing? Like you're not expecting anything out of it. You're doing it because it's just your like you enjoy it. Like you're not making music for anybody else other than yourself.
Yeah. That's a great point. I think, of course you want to have stuff that people relate to. Yeah. But I think for me, it's like enough where I'm like, yo, I believe in this. So like, I'm going to put it out. I love doing it. I love making music. And if like my core network of people, like if it's you guys or some of the homies and they're playing it in the car, it's like, that's a win.
That's like, enough. Yeah.
You know, so I think, and then, you know, it starts to grow and expand, word of mouth and stuff like that. Like ultimately I want to have a career doing it. I'd love to do it full time. But I think like it started as just like, yo, this is just genuinely what I love to do. It's fun. It's a good feeling. And just sticking to it.
Is all your music clean, or like?
It's like,
is that because like a marketing thing? Because I know you're marketing about, you know what I mean? Good point.
No, I think it's more so of like from like where I started, where it's rooted, and I'm in my parents' basement, and like my mom walks down, I'm saying something crazy. It's just like it would never get out.
Has that ever happened to you?
No, because I've never like said anything like if we freestyle, I do like I might say something crazy, but it's like it's not like I can't curse. I just think it's like it's almost like a challenge where it's like it's so easy as a filler. To just like, shit, can we curse on this? Okay, Right. It's like, shit, blah, blah, blah. You could rhyme whatever. I'm just like, let me see if I could come up with something more creative. And I think that was just the thing of like, let me just stick with it. And it's unique. It's like, for the 2K deal, for example, they were just like, yo, can you send the clean version of your songs? I'm like, everything's clean. So that eliminated a lot of steps. Like, sure, I'll say things if they make sense or if, you know, it's a vibe, if it's a feel. But, like, for the most part, I'd say most of it's clean. And it's just because, like, that's just more of like a challenge.
And I feel like with that, people are always listening to the song itself.
Exactly.
Like when you're getting the clean version at times, it sounds
completely
this
different.
is not it sometimes.
And I think like a compliment that I enjoy is like, I don't even know if it's like a thing, but like if people notice it, they'll be like, yo, this is dope. Oh, you don't curse in any of this?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's like it's
sometimes
like,
you don't even notice
it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yo, I need the clean song. I'm like, there's nothing that was said that was crazy. So I think it's just an advantage. It's just different, you know.
You ever feel like you have to make like maybe one that you don't release, but like you got to make a song that, just to get it out, right? Because I'm sure there's days where you're like, you just want to really
you have a
dig
terrible
into
day,
it.
day. It's just like, oh, let me record this. It's not gonna go nowhere. It stays in the vault.
Yeah.
But like, I think I'm at a point where I'm like, if something makes sense, if it's part of a story, or if it's like, you know, if it just adds something to it, it's not like I'm afraid to curse on a song. But I think it's like, to your point, it's like, okay, like I work marketing firm, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think like I'm at the point where I'm like, yo, the field that we work in, it's like the athletes, the people, the artists, like everyone's their own individual. So it's just, you know, it's just a matter of it meaning something.
Who knows? Maybe one day you'll be so big that people like when you do use a word that's, you know, a little dirtier, then
for sure
people will be like, yeah, exactly. Like then people will be like, oh, he definitely wanted like there's real meaning behind that.
Sure.
One.
Like, oh, he changed.
So that's like something you got to your advantage right there.
Nah, it's just like a childhood thing. It's just like, oh, let me just stick with it, and
that's sick. That's awesome.
Damn. So and you've been at it for a minute, right?
Yeah, for a minute. It started in Hillsborough Middle School. Was it middle school? Yeah. So 6th grade, we did a talent show, and the G Unit song "Hate It or Love It."
Oh shit!
It was like everybody. The G Unit remix. It was like 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Tony A. Everyone had like a verse. So like 5 of our friends, we were just like, yo, let's take a person, and like let's write our own verse and like just freestyle over the instrumental. So we did that. We won the not the fast show. We won the talent show, and then we were like, yo, this is kind of fun. So one of my homies, Denzel, who's like a really big producer, if you guys know, from Take a Day Trip.
Yeah, Denzi,
yeah. So
Next Generation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That formed Next Generation. So me and him in his basement, he was always into production. He would make beats. We'd both rap over it, or I'd just rap over it. And we started like promoting on YouTube. Had a pretty big following, but like at the time we weren't into like licensing or knew anything about it. So like we would just take songs and like remix them. And one song got like 100, 200,000 views, but then like copyright infringement, so they all got like taken down. But we did that throughout high school, and then obviously he was more into production. I was more into, you know, songwriting and being an artist.
That's funny. What would you tell yourself? Like, what are some like key takeaways from like back in the day that you would wish you would know now? You know what I mean? Or wish you would know back then?
Consistency, for sure. I think I'm not old or too old to make music. Like I always look at like if Jay-Z went on tour right now, it'd sell out instantly. He's in his 50s, right? Or I think he's in his 50s. But I think consistency in terms of like what I'm trying to do now is do a song a month. Just put it out. Some songs may peak, some songs may be a dud, but it's like if I like it and I believe in it, just stick with it, and you see the growth. So like from 2 years ago, like I could see when I was putting out songs like maybe once every 6 months or whatever the case is, like the more you do stuff, the more opportunities you get. So like I'll have people reach out to me and they're just like, yo, I'm not really big into hip hop, but I saw you've been doing music. I have a friend who works at marketing for SoundCloud and they're looking for artists for shows. Like stuff like that happens because it's just consistency. So I think for me, if I were like could go back, I would like, you know, maybe give up some of the other hobbies. Like, you know, when I knew I wasn't going to the league, like maybe give up some basketball, but like it's all part of the process. I think it's like, I wouldn't take it back, but I think that would be the number one thing. Just like continuously do stuff and, you know, don't necessarily worry about like the following and the streams. It's just like, it'll get there.
I feel like that's always the number one answer.
Yeah.
It's like, how can it not be?
Yeah.
Just be consistent.
You do a bunch of stuff, you stop. It's like, you're just doing this over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if I could be 15 right now and have my mindset, bro,
I think that's it. That's tough. Like
crazy.
Being around our ages and like going on social media and you're like, damn, these kids are really after it at a young age. But I feel like they're like the tools that they have now are like it's much
different.
greater than what.
Yeah, all we had was Dat Piff back in the day.
For sure. MySpace.
MySpace, yeah.
But like TikTok, all that stuff, like I'm not on it as much, but like in terms of like IG Reels and stuff, like posting videos of me, like you were saying introvert, like I'm an introverted creative. So I'm like, I like to write music like by myself, headphones on.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone in the room, but I'm like, yo, like people want to see the process. So it's like, okay, let me just record a freestyle and post it and see what people did. So like I did a bedroom bars thing in the pandemic where it was like every Friday I'm just going to write and record a freestyle and post it. And then people were like, yo, this is dope. This is dope. And it led to Sway Calloway, Sway in the Morning. He ended up having like a IG live thing, and he was like, yo, tag artists who should perform. I was like, everyone spam Sway, and he had me on. I ended up like doing a freestyle. So I was like,
that's
yeah.
sick.
So it was like consistency. Like that was, yeah.
That's the second person we had on that did a Sway.
Yeah. Do you know
Yeah.
AK?
Freestyle.
He's like a rapper.
So on YouTube, he's I Am the Real AK.
Okay.
But he's out of my town, South Brunswick, New Jersey.
Gotcha.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'll check
So
him out though.
he's a little bit bigger. Like he's more
Yeah.
bigger on like in the YouTube
Gotcha.
like world. But yeah,
it's fire. Yeah.
another great artist.
Do you remember the first video you put out?
Mm.
Or first piece of content you put out? Whether it be a song or...
Yeah. Ever, it was definitely something with Next Generation. Yeah, I do, because it still exists, but it's like private. But it was basically a song with me, Denzel, and Josh Hagerman, who's like a wizard on the piano. We went to Denzel's basement and we're like, yo, let's record a song and show the process. But it was hilarious because like we didn't have a green screen. So like Denzel had like, I was like, yo, get a bed sheet. So we put like a bed sheet back there behind us, and we all like took turn. Like he was playing the piano, Denzel had a verse, I had a verse, and we threw like the shittiest effects over it, where it was like I'm rapping, then fire flames. I turned into like a fire emoji. That was the first video.
Were you nervous to put anything out, or like to even just like show it to the public?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because it was ultimately, it's like, yo, what are people gonna think? Like, I gotta go to school tomorrow. Like, yeah, like,
I just put out a video.
Yeah,
Show
like,
my
you know,
face.
like minor things in like the grand scheme of stuff, but like yeah, for sure. And I think it was just like yo, just do it, because it's like I would record so many songs. I'm like, no one hears them, and like, you know, in my head, I'm like, what if it goes viral? What if it doesn't? Who knows? And like, I don't want to look back and be like, man, what if I would have went harder? Or what if I would have put this song out?
Yeah,
So.
100%. Do you have any tips for anyone that else is introverted to let your guard down when it comes to like releasing content?
Yeah, I think like it's growth at the end of the day. Like if it's comfortable, it's like, you know, you have a routine, but like, are you challenging yourself? Like, are you getting better? I think one thing I did this summer that was like out of the box, I went to a writing camp. It's like 30 artists, 20 artists in Brooklyn. They were from all over, but like it was in Brooklyn. We went to a studio, and it was like, hey, you guys are going to be here for 3 days, and you're going to make an album. And like, it's like, okay. So it's like, there's producers, there's people who, from hip hop to like acapella, pop, like it's just a bunch of different genres and sounds, rock and roll. And it's just like, yo, you're all going to sit here and figure it out.
Oh, you're all gonna make an album together.
We made an album together.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So it was like,
did everyone kind of look around at each other like?
I think some people were like, you know, everyone had different skill sets, and like you learn that quick. So it was like, it was the first time for me where I'm just like, yo, they're like, what beat or what sound do you have in your head? And I'm like, oh, like I want an 808 and I want like a piano key. And the guy's like, oh, like this? I'm like, yeah.
Perfect.
Like, yeah.
Who's next? Well,
Exactly.
Who's got the guitars?
So like that happened through growth. We made an album. It came through the summer. It was through this app called Element, which two of my homies, J-Ro and Leslie, started. But it's for like independent artists. It's plugging them in. But basically that was like a challenge for me. And out of it, now I have 20 artists that live in the city. I've collaborated with some of them. Some of them have come to the crib. We've made songs. And ultimately it was like a great experience, but like something I would have never like searched for on my own.
how'd you find that?
I used to work with them, and they branched off. I worked with them in a marketing firm, and they branched off and started their own app. And they were just like, yo, you do music, like you should tap in with us, or we want to like stay connected. And they're like, we're having this thing in the summer. Do you want to come through? And I'm like, 20 artists, like, do I? No. But I'm like, let me try it. Why not? So that's kind of how it happened. Yeah.
And like, so I kind of want to circle back to content. Like, what's your kind of approach to content? Because I see some of it's like daily vlogs, some of it's like you rapping to the camera in your bedroom. Like, what's your kind of approach to content?
It's it varies, right? I think it's like try and repeat, see what works well. I think like ultimately like I make music so people want to hear songs. So I think it's like if I'm putting out a song, I'll tease the hook, right? And I'm trying to do something. You'll see I'm putting a song out in 2 weeks. But like I've been listening to like a lot of independent artists, seeing their approach where it's just like they don't have multi-million-dollar set. Like they're literally just like Russ is a good example. People are mixed on how they feel about him, but like he'll take his phone and he'll be like, yo, this is the beat I wanted to come up with. Boom, boom, boom. This is the hook. Da, da, da. This is the verse. So I think for me, it's just showing that like you're human in a sense of just like, yo, like anyone could do this. It's just a matter of doing it. So I think it's like realistic content of me trying, making music. Maybe it's like me hanging out with friends, playing it in the background, just like relatable scenarios that like you don't even need a camera per se to do it. Like you could just, you use your phone and you're on the go. So I think it's more like a feeling, but just being consistent where it's just like, okay, every few days I should be posting something.
100%.
Yeah.
How do you think your marketing brain works with you putting out content? Do you think it's always influencing it? Like
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one, I wish I had the budget for myself that I have for like the marketing for sure. But I think it's like you see like, A-list artists or just successful athletes, anyone, and like what they kind of do for their brands because like that's what I'm working on. And it's just like, okay, I could take that approach. You maybe, lose some of the theatrics, the budget, but like why not apply that and just see how it works? Because a lot of times I'll have friends who like, I'll put a song out and they'll be like, yo, okay, it's old. I put it out yesterday. On to the next. I'm like, yo, like for a song, like you should be marketing it for like months and months and months. Like once it's out is like the stepping stone.
Yeah.
So like you continue to do new stuff, but I think it's like, continue to push the song. Only people are going to believe in it as much as you believe in it.
Yeah.
So like a good example, the first 2K20, the 2 songs that were featured on that were 2 years old. They were just out in the world and like, it's pushing it. I sent them those songs instead of like, oh, we're here 2 new songs I'm working on. And then the streams from that, I'd say probably like first 2 months, like 3,000% an increase.
Oh, wow.
And like all those songs have like hundreds of thousands of views because of that. But if I would have gave up on them, it's just like, you never know what could pop.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What do you think makes like a good piece of content? Or what is there any like key elements that you see within the ones that are blowing up?
Yeah, I think like the latest ones that I've seen, like I just study a bunch of independent art. Like I said, Russell is another one who's super dope. But like I see what pops is just like almost not failing, but it's just like, for example, it's just like, yo, I'm on vacation. It's late. Wi-Fi service is bad, but like I'm doing this video and I still got to make this song. And people like relate to that because it's just like, oh, like what's my excuse? So I think like a lot of times it's just like, okay, like I'm not in a multi-million-dollar recording studio. I'm at the crib. This is the background. It's dirty. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not necessarily all the time, but it's just like you just live like a normal person. And I think like people relate to that. Things that aren't forced. Like it feels organic. It feels like, yo, this is really what I did. I woke up at 10:30 a.m., wrote a song, made it, and here's the process.
Damn.
Yeah, so I think for music specifically.
How do you go about like choosing like what songs you want to make a video for?
Yeah, good question.
And like that whole process, like compared to your first music video you made to where you're at now, like
yeah. I honestly haven't done full music videos. I think like the game has changed to just almost like short form content.
Yeah.
So it's just like every song I'll put out TikToks for them. I'll put out short videos on like my IG, share them across Twitter, stuff like that. But I think everything gets, give it a chance. I think everything should get short form videos. But then like if something pops or like the 2K one where like, oh, this is a bigger moment, let me, go on the game and have a video of like myself watching myself in the game, watching myself on the billboard. So it's almost like an Inception type of thing. Yeah. So I think like everything deserves content. But to your point, I think like the biggest thing is just like what is the most organic thing? Like like I'm not a millionaire. So like if you see me with like a chain or coming out of a Rolls Royce, it's just like, it's cool, but it's like that's not real.
Yeah.
Like I think it's kind of dope that like I record videos and rap in my Honda Accord. You know what I mean? Like it's just realistic stuff that like anyone can do in any situation.
And what's your take on like fake it till you make it with like a lot of these like artists that are coming up?
I get it. I think it works for some things. It's like, ultimately if people see you're doing well, it's like it's the perception that like, oh, you're doing well, you're making a ton of money, you're doing all this stuff through music, but it's like you got to kind of pick and choose. Like, I like to do things like organic. Like I don't like to fake things just because it's like, it just doesn't feel natural. But then again, there's people who do it and they get hundreds of thousands of streams because it's like, oh, people think this is how they live or this is their way. I don't think personally it's for me, but I don't like knock the hustle. Yeah,
I feel it.
Yeah.
So you kind of describe yourself as like an introverted person, but like on camera, it seems like you know what I mean?
I'm not introvert. Like I think like I'm introverted like with my music, like with the creative process. Like I go to a party, I'll talk to everyone there.
Gotcha.
But I think like naturally I'm shy at first if I don't know people. But I think just with music, I'm just because of like the processes. I'm open to letting people hear the final process. And I think in terms of the content, what you're talking about, what I'm trying to get better at is just like, yo, here was the first take. Here's the second take. Here's when it got mixed. Here's when it gets better and better. And like showing that. And I think like the writing camp I was telling you guys about was that. Because it's just like, yo, we're all just going to like sit in a circle and freestyle. And in my head, I'm like, yo, I don't know who's nice. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? But it was just like, people mess up. It's normal. It's like, that's how you get better. And you don't like take it too serious. Like you love music because it's fun. So yeah, I think that was like, that's the problem. I'm not an introvert. I don't think it's like
I feel like when I say I'm an introvert, like I used to be like in the mindset of no, just close yourself off from everyone is better off that way.
Or just in general
mostly. But like in time it just turned into more I'm introverted because I'm okay with being by myself and doing things by myself. So when you're doing music, you're cool with being there by like there's some other people that might want a group of people there. So when they make that hot line, they can say it to them and then it'll make them feel better for the next one. But it's like being okay with like spending time with yourself. Knowing like I can go out and talk to people.
Exactly.
Or I don't have to.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, I mean, even removing music, just like life. I'm like, I've always wanted to go to Europe. I went in October past year. I was just like, yo, I'm just going to book a trip and figure it out. Like I have some homies that live there and ended up having a close friend who came with me, but I was there for like 5 days by myself. And like, that was just such a weird thing where I'm just like, yo, like I always like to have a plan. I always like to know what I'm doing. I'm just like, yo, just go and figure it out. You'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So I think like shifting that mindset and applying that to music, it's just like, yo, I recorded like an Afrobeat song or just doing different things. I'm like, just do it. Like, when
you make decisions like that, do you feel like it's an uncomfortable step first that gets you to a more comfortable feeling?
For sure. Because I'm just like, yo, I'm going to book this trip. I was like, yeah, let me just do it. I booked it. I'm like, yo, what am I doing? Why am I going to? I don't have any business there. I don't like what is the point? And it ended up being one of the best trips. Like, you go out, you meet people. And just like the mindset of people in Europe where it's like, yo, they have siesta and it's less about like, yo, what do you do for a living? How can I like build off of you? It's just more so like, yo, what are you into? What are you as a person? And it's just like, it's like guard down. So, yeah.
100%.
Damn, so I feel like your life is so like content driven between the marketing, like the music and things. Do you ever kind of like take a break from social or are you just always on the go, like trying to figure out like what's new, what's popping?
I tried. I mean, I'm bad at it because it's, it's like you like the feeling of it, engaging with people. If people reach out, I always want to like respond and stuff, but like I'll try to cut it off at like a certain time, like, past 10, like let me just like either watch TV or try to record music or just sit outside on the balcony and just chill. Like I'm trying to get better at that. But I think like I'm on it a lot. You guys know it's like it's a hit or miss. It's like if you're not on it, you're missing out on like a lot of things. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to be so consumed that like, it's not a real place. And I think that's what I have to like tell myself.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. It's like not like a physical, like real reality.
Yeah. I'm like, if my IG deleted, what now? Like what if IG went down? Like, and that's when you talk about like having community and local support. I'm like, I don't want, my only method of success to be like quantized by like how many followers or how many likes or how many streams. It's just like, oh, if it goes down, like I could still do a show in my hometown and people will show up.
100%.
Yeah.
You want to hop into rapping?
Do some rapping?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what we're going to do is we do this little bit in our show where we just spitfire you some rapid fire questions. If you want to answer it in just like a sentence or less.
I was like, are we spitting? Are we rapping?
It would be Joe if anybody who would be doing that with you. No. So you want to
sweat?
Let him hear some of your.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. Once you leave, this guy's gonna put on an instrumental.
We'll do it.
All right. We'll start. Favorite music artist?
J. Cole.
Ooh, favorite clothing brand?
Evolve.
Best pizza place in Hillsborough?
I don't know if it still exists. It's the one on 206. I forgot the name. I haven't been in forever. It's near the It's near like the bagel spot. There's a Bagelicious is right near there.
Bagelicious.
I forgot what the name of it is.
I go and get sushi over there.
Huh?
A place called Midori.
That's not the sushi spot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta be more tapped in.
Like by like Princeton Health and Wellness. Like
Yeah,
there's
I know-
a
I
gym
know the
over
area.
there.
I just haven't had pizza here in so long.
Oh shit.
Well, you're wearing a watch, so favorite watch.
G-Shock.
G-Shock.
Dream feature.
Dream feature. I'd probably say J. Cole.
Huh?
Yeah.
Favorite place you visited.
Favorite place, Paris.
If you weren't doing marketing, what would you be doing?
Music full time.
Music full time.
Yeah.
Favorite childhood sport growing up.
Basketball.
Favorite basketball player.
LeBron. But current day, but first Jason Kidd.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why Jason Kidd?
New Jersey Nets. We used to go with the family.
To the Izod Center?
Izod Center.
Yes, sir.
And I have a photo of like, it's still memory. Like we were sitting, we had good seats. Jason Kidd, Jason. And he looked, winked at me, and threw a headband. I was like, man.
Oh, that's sick.
Favorite player forever.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
all
love
it
Jason
takes.
Kidd.
Yeah.
I remember I went to like a backyard wrestling, like fake
Really?
WWE thing. And I was just a fan of wrestling at the time.
Yeah.
And so someone like ripped off a piece of the guy's shirt and threw it in the
You
crowd.
caught
Yeah, and it was like sweating. My dad's like, "What the fuck are you taking?"
He's like, why do you want this?
he was like, "You don't even know this guy." I was like, "I'm gonna cherish this forever." I must have held on to
Showing
it.
his backpack.
Shooting
Yeah.
sleeves of players.
Till
like,
this day is my
drenched.
favorite underground wrestler.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
None.
If you had to have your song go in any other video game, what would it be?
FIFA.
Ooh.
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer too.
Favorite soccer team?
Which like you talking club?
Yeah, no, club.
Club. I like EPL. I'm a Chelsea fan.
Okay.
I also like Real Madrid. Those are my two teams.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
I didn't, but I saw what happened.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
I would say always follow your intuition and focus on what you think is right rather than like being accepted by others. And I guess what that means is just like if you're happy doing it and you feel like this is something that's cool and you want to put your stamp on, put it out. People are always going to hate, and like I've seen it where it's like, yo, people who've never listened to my music, and I could tell, yo, listen to it, never listened. Yo, bro, I heard your song on 2K, dope, you're killing it. I'm like, bro, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like stay not consistent, stay on the path and trust your process. Yeah.
So this is kind of dipping back a little bit, might be a deeper question, but so nowadays with like a bunch of people on social media, they might sit and watch this and be like, wow, he's a real happy guy, uplifting, really seems like he's got it all figured out inside.
Yeah. He's always happy.
But is there days like for me, what would have been reassuring at a younger kid is seeing these people who I think are happy and got it all, realize they're still real people. Is there a message out there you want to give people that like, even though you might see someone who's happy and always going, that like there's still some days that you got to work through?
No, for sure. I think like if we use music as a standpoint, which is, life too, it's just like IG is like for most people like a highlight reel, right? And it just looks like everyone's perfect. Everyone's
having
great.
the time of their life.
Everyone's just having an amazing time all the time, and that's just not realistic. And it's like for me, it's like I remember doing a show, a bunch of them, but like two examples. In college, I did a show, and it was like, yo, I'm gonna do a show on campus. Tell everybody, 7:00. Yeah, I'll be there. Came. It was like, maybe like 5 homies.
Yeah.
And I like forgot the words. I'm just like, and I'm just like texting, and I'm just like, man, this is an awful feeling. But like you grow through that. And I think another one, it's like I did there was like a music conference in the city a few years ago. And this guy's like, yo, I love you. He's like one of the guys who like runs it. He's like, yo, I love your music. We're going to get a big crowd. I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. I don't have to market it too much. There's going to be people there. It's like 8 people. And it's like a huge venue that should hold like 250 people. And my thing is like, things that are losses per se. I'm like, yo, those 8 people, I'm going to perform like
the time
like
of their
it's
life.
packed.
Yeah.
And everybody there was turned up, lit. And I think like people remember that, and you see the growth. So I think to bring it back, I think it's just like, don't be afraid to fail, and just know that like, that's part of the process. If everyone was perfect and winning all the time, it's like, you're not challenging yourself. So just be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah.
Hell yeah. If someone has no idea who Dayne Carter is and you want to put him on the music, what's one song you recommend them?
Aside from 10 Toes, I think 10 Toes is a good one. I also think, based on our conversation, I have a song called Introvert off my album Road Trip, and I think it literally like alludes to a lot we were talking about. Yeah, I think that's a really good one.
Link it down below, Ben.
Yeah.
When you go about making, like, is making just one individual song different than, like, obviously a whole album?
Yeah.
Like, how do you, like, is there songs that you made not thinking that they would go onto an album and then made it onto an album? Or do you just kind of start fresh when you're...
I think now, because it's weird. It's like the game has changed so much where it's just like, right now, today, I can put out an album. I have enough music to put out an album. But, like, is there a demand for an album?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. So it's like I just look at everything as just like, yo, this is a feeling. This is a song. Let me put it out. What helped me with the last project I put out, there's this book, The Writer's Way. And basically, I don't even think you have to read it. I read some of it, but, like, the methodology from it is, like, you wake up every morning and you just write 3 pages. It doesn't have to be anything. I'm not writing raps. It's like, yo, I woke up today, feel like shit, don't want to go to work, blah, 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 and then go on with my day. And you do that for 3 weeks, and then you read it back. And then you start to see themes where it's like, okay, like, why'd I feel shitty for 3 days? Oh, maybe because I didn't get enough sleep, or maybe this happened in my life with relationships or whatever it is. And then I think from that, I start to pull themes of, like, okay, well, this was, like, unfiltered thought. So, like, let me take that and, like, write it on, like, a board, and, like, this might be the theme of the album. So, like, for the last album, it was Road Trip, and I was in a place where it's, like, I was, like, not living here, but, like, a lot of my friends were here, and, like, Road Trip was, like, a metaphor where it's just, like, yo, like, everything was, you know, a car theme, but it's just, like, I'm here in Hillsborough, great place, love to live it, but I feel like at times it's, like, a bubble. And, you know, going to the city for college, it's, like, you got to kind of venture out and journey. So that was kind of the whole theme for that project.
100%.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd want to give to your older self?
That's a good question. I never thought about that. I would, maybe 2 things. I would say, first one, keep chasing that childhood in your younger self and continue to, you know, do the things that fuel you and that you want to continue to grow from. And I think the second thing I would probably say, I think I kind of alluded to it before, but it's like, you don't look back and wonder what if. Like, I think that's, like, become my thing for the year. Like, don't have what ifs. It's just, like, either do things. If they fail, they fail. And I think I'd want to tell my older self to, like, look back and be like, yo, if I don't make it as a huge artist, I could at least be comfortable knowing I put in the effort and put out the songs, rather than, I never want to be, and we all know these people, like the parent who lives through their kid, of, like, you know, at the basketball games where it's just like, yo, like.
Yeah. I know him a little better. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, people have that, but it's just like, I don't want to do that. I just want to, like, you know, for myself, just be able to be like, yeah, I gave it everything, and, like, I'm content with the outcome. Yeah. Either way. Yeah.
So where can the people find out more about you?
People could find out on social media. I think Dayne, AYODAYNE, on all platforms, primarily Instagram, Twitter. But I think, yeah, just stay tapped in. You know, I'd say go to Spotify, listen to the music.
What's that song that's dropping?
The one that's coming out in 2 weeks. It's called Twice.
Yeah. We'll link it down below. Pre-save.
Yeah.
And a quote to that camera to close us off.
Find comfort in being uncomfortable, and don't be afraid to try new things, because that's when you grow.
Dayne Carter, everyone. Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate you guys.
That was a great one.
This is dope.